a lot of metal. I'm waiting for an order to come in, which should have been here this week. So we're down to using 0.6 mil, which isn't ideal. So it just means that you can turn that on at them, not on now actually. It just means that we're going to have to be very careful that we're doing a nice thin layer of enamel so that it stays on, because ideally we would want to be using slightly thicker copper or silver of 0.8. I mean, ideally 1 mil would be good, you know, to be on the safe side, but then that can get quite heavy if you're doing a bigger piece. So counter enamelling is where you enamel on the back of the piece to, it just helps the tension when you've got enamel on the back and the front. But it is a bit more intricate, and we're not going to start off trying that. We're just going to try and do the front first. So I wouldn't worry about it, but I just thought I'd explain the word counter enamel on there and what it's used for. And hence the fact it's used on the back of the enamel. We're not too fussy about the colour, so we can use it as a mix-up one.
Can I just ask you, where do you get those? If you wanted to purchase your own sieve, where would you go to get them?
I get them all from Bertram Signum, that same place. Yeah. Okay, what we need to set up here, we've got a nice clean bit of paper as our base. That's because this is a jewellery workshop and it is dirty, and even if I dusted everything thoroughly, it would still get, you know, there'd be bits. So we've got the paper down to keep it clean. And then on top we've got 2 more pieces of paper. One's got a fold in it, and that'll come, you'll understand why in a minute. You can also just give your lollipop sticks a quick wipe with the damp paper towel, just to make sure you take off any other residues from there. And then put your cleaned piece of copper onto the lollipop sticks. What they're going to do is they're going to help you lift it. So I'll actually separate them a bit so that I can get my spatula up. Right, so I've got my sieve, I've got my palette knife, which is going to help me lift my enamelled tile onto the mesh. This is the mesh for putting it into the kiln. So I'll just make sure that's nice and flat. And I've got my enamel. Now it's got an orange label on it, which means it's an opaque enamel. The transparent ones all have blue labels on them. Okay? So this one is Mazarin Blue. It's important that you have your technical notebooks with you so that you can write down the colours you're using, because there's a lot of you doing it, and you will, you know, someone will use something and you'll forget what colour it is. So write it down, and once you've done your enamel tile, you can put a bit of masking tape on the back with a number on it, and that can correspond to the, or you can use your paper, the side of you, to write it, you know, if you haven't got your technical notebook.
Sorry, can you repeat the colour?
Mazarin Blue. I've forgotten something really important. Health and safety. Enamel is nasty stuff. It does have little traces of arsenic and something else in it. It does tell you on here. These are lead-free enamels. Oh, actually, it contains compounds of lead and arsenic. So it's really important that you keep your masks on, and when we're doing it, we'll always have the extraction on. Both sides will keep the extraction on. So you will all get a mask here. I know it doesn't seem very hygienic, but please put your name on it and reuse it for a little while, because they are quite expensive. We've gone up and got the better ones with the respiratory doodah at the front, so that you can actually breathe when you're wearing them, you know. But I know if you wear glasses, they can steam up your glasses. I don't really like it, and just for this demo, I'm not going to use it because I can't talk to you anyway. So remember the mask, okay? Right, are we ready? We've got a toothpick as well. I'll show you what that's for. So, oh, it's not the right sieve, is it? So putting the sieve on your top layer of paper so that you're keeping all the enamel onto the one piece of paper for when you put it back in. Put a generous amount in, and you'll use less than's in it, but it helps to get a nice even dusting.
So
You'll get the feel of how thick and thin to go, but you're just looking at it at the moment for a nice even covering.
how much did you put in the lid pot in terms of mils?
Hello, I just
Not
shoved it.
How, what depth?
In terms of there,
And there,
Yeah,
yeah.
is it a quarter full,
just
half full?
popped it in, I don't know, yeah,
About
quarter.
a teaspoon.
Right, this is the bit where you have shaky hands. So the cocktail stick is being used to just nudge it onto the. I mean, my hands are shakier now than when I first started teaching this, but they're even more shaky today with that camera over. Right, so carefully carry it over to the kiln. Now, I automatically put it on the top of the kiln, which isn't necessary. But if you've got, it's because if you're using wet enamel, you need it to dry out, and that's the best place for it to dry out. But you could place it round here. You will have to get into a little bit of a queue going on here. Move around here, Neil. I want you to have a look at the kiln, the colour coming from the kiln. Can you see it's quite a bright orangey colour?
I'm colourblind. Why asking me?
That's quite hot. That's indicating to me it's quite hot, and it's important that you do keep an eye on the colour. If it goes really yellowy orange, it's too hot. You need to turn it down or open the door. But when you're using this constantly to begin with, it will cool down quite quickly, so it's better to have it slightly hotter and maybe do it for 40 seconds rather than a minute. It's going to be a bit of touch and go, but anyway, you'll get the feel for it after the first few samples. So, firing fork. Really important that you don't crowd around this area, okay? If you're waiting for something, make sure there's plenty of room for people to work here. There are 2 kilns here, so obviously there'll be 2 people here. So you've got your firing fork in your hand. Lift the lid of the kiln. Oh, no, sorry. Pick up your piece. You want to limit the amount of time that the door's open, so if you've got it ready to go in, that means there's less heat escaping. And there's your timer, so it's on for a minute, but we'll take it out after. Yeah, it's quite hot, that kiln. I might even have a look at 30. Do you want to come round and just have a look? In fact, I'm going to take it out early so that you can see what an early one looks like. You still filming?
The
me?
the light doesn't hurt your eyes when you're, opening the
Well,
can.
that was pretty hot,
Yeah.
so you wouldn't want to look at it. Right, 30 seconds. Right, come here. Blimey. It's just about cooked. I thought it would be really under. Can you see that? Can everybody see that tile? It's a bit like an orange skin, subtly, a bit wobbly. That indicates that it's under fired, okay? But only ever so slightly under fired. So I'm going to put it back in.
Oh, that's
And you have to wait till the bubbles go in.
Yeah, it's to be, what you're aiming for is really smooth surface, like this sort of thing. Okay. Now, I put it in for 30 seconds, but I did take it out for quite a bit of time there, so we can't just put it in for 5 seconds and think that'll be done, because it has actually cooled down quite significantly while it was out. So this is where you have to gauge it, and this is what's frustrating about enamelling. You do have to use your own intuition a little bit and think, well, I'll try 20 seconds, or I'll try a minute, and you might have a disaster, you might have a success, but oh my god, I think that was 40 seconds. Right, it's smooth enough. I think it might have slightly overfired there. When you take it out, obviously you won't be standing here looking at it forever and a day because someone will be wanting to go in. So you can either just leave it on top of the kiln or to the side of the kiln just to cool down. And leave the firing fork here for the next person. The little kiln, which it had heated up and then I turned it down, looks nothing like that one in terms of red hotness. When you shut the door, it's got a bit of a dodgy catch. When you shut the door, it can knock contact, and that means it's not on and it's not heating up. So make sure the light goes on when you shut it. That'll just take about 10 minutes to heat up, so it'll be this one that you'll all be using.
What's that called?
Any questions?